prior to the schedule release the other day, I'm sitting in the green room, and that's when just flipping around the stations and seeing Jameis Winston talking to Jim Harbaugh, and the other guy who was in the green room is sitting next to me right here now on the program from the NFL Media Group, Bucky Brooks, NFL Media Draft Analyst. Good to see you.
Thanks for having me on.
What'd you think about that whole conversation that you heard from Winston? And is there any way that the Bucs and anyone else who's drafting him watched that and had their draft board change in any way, shape, or form?
Well, no, the draft board doesn't change at this point in the process. The only thing that'll change would be a big medical issue or something that is really revealed to really distinguish their character. But
sure.
What you're always doing when you're a scout, you're always looking for insight on the player, because really when you think about the opportunities that you have with the players, you get the 15-minute interviews at the combines, a couple interactions at their pro day, and then the 24-hour visits. That's not a lot of interaction time to make really a life-changing decision on whether you can trust somebody. So in looking at that and seeing his interaction with Harbaugh, you get an opportunity to see Jameis Winston away from the scripted process. So if anything, it sheds some light. It gives people a better feel for who he is and whether he's believable in terms of a character.
Well, the way he described the crab legs incident is not the way the police reports described it. So it just didn't jibe. So here's another instance, although that was from February. That was on the way to the combine. So none of that is at all going to affect anything that we're going to see 6 days from now.
No, because all that stuff was already learned. Like when we talk about the crab legs incident and some of the other things that have transpired inside the NFL world, people already knew what it was. So it's a bigger deal on the outside than it is on the inside, because some of the stuff that you hear about in meetings, that's an immature act. The biggest thing was the allegation. That is the biggest thing that would make people pause on Jameis Winston.
And have the Bucs right now, Bucs, Titans, anyone else who thinks that Winston could fall to them, do they know everything about that case right now, that they've seen all the evidence, they looked into it? Because we've heard, OTL reported a couple of days ago, last week, that no NFL teams have contacted the prosecutor in the state of Florida who decided not to bring charges. That office hasn't even been contacted by an NFL team.
Yeah, but then the Bucs came back and refuted that and said they had talked to people. Like the way the process has been, not only does the league do a background investigation on everything and every player, but each team typically has a security team that goes and digs, and they do their own due diligence on every player. So all of that information has already been given back to the team. The general manager has made the owner abreast of whatever the issues are with Jameis Winston and any other guy who may have a character issue. And so at this point, the guys who you can put on your board are on your board. Those who you have issues with, they're off on the backboard. But for Jameis Winston, I think everything is fine. I haven't heard anyone say that the character issues will prevent them from taking him at whatever pick it is in the first round.
So 6 days from now, he's the #1 overall pick?
I think so. I think he's the #1 overall pick. Like, character aside, I think he's the best quarterback for what they want to do in Tampa. When you go back and look at Dirk Cutter and the guys he's traditionally played with, going all the way back to Arizona State, he's always had like a pocket quarterback. Andrew Walter was the guy that played for him. You go to Atlanta with Matt Ryan, drop back, conventional quarterback, put a lot on the quarterback in terms of the responsibility. I think the same thing with Jameis. He's very comfortable playing in that system. And the thing that a lot of people don't necessarily realize, the alpha dog persona is what they need. They need a franchise quarterback that can stand up, that can be a leader among men. As young as he is, he's always been the alpha. Even when E.J. Manuel was at Florida State, they said that Jameis Winston overshadowed him with his personality. When you're thinking about energizing a franchise, that's the kind of personality that you need.
Well, and the interesting thing is, obviously the next question is, what about Marcus Mariota? I'm with Bucky Brooks here on the Rich Eisen Show. It's a quarterback-driven league. The draft is frequently a quarterback-driven conversation. But where Mariota goes is a linchpin to the rest of where everybody else who's at the top of the draft might go, with edge rushers, wide receivers. Usually we see an offensive lineman thrown in there, but we're going to see edge rushers and wide receivers and another quarterback go before we get to see Scherf maybe go off the board. Is that an accurate assessment?
That's probably an accurate assessment, because when you look at it, it's a supply and demand deal. Supply, quarterbacks. There are two guys that everyone feels good about: Jameis Winston, Marcus Mariota. Those edge rushers, they're like 3 or 4 guys that you really are positive about, and with the wide receivers. After that, you have a drop-off. So teams that really need to take those positions, they have to get them early. If it's a deeper position, you're fine taking another position and coming back in the later round, second or third round, to find that skill that needs.
So Mariota goes where, do you think?
It's tough, because there's a lot of conversation about Tennessee and then San Diego moving up. But really, it's about, let's look at the history of those programs. Tennessee, Ken Wisenhunt has never played with a mobile quarterback. He always likes a traditional drop-back passer.
Kurt Warner, Ben Roethlisberger.
So that leads me to believe that that's not his guy. He had Jake Locker there at Washington when he was in Tennessee. He was a mobile quarterback playing under Steve Sarkisian, as you alluded to. Not really his type. So I don't see him going to Tennessee. The New York Jets at 6. The big question will be, will Todd Bowles want to pull the plug on Geno Smith and go with another young quarterback, or are they better served to take another position player, see if Geno Smith can get it done, build the pieces around him, and hit the ground running? I will say this.
Yes.
Chan Gailey, as an offensive coordinator, has always done a good job with athletic quarterbacks. Cordell Stewart, he ran the pistol offense in Kansas City with Tyler Thigpen. He was fascinated by Cam Newton when he was at Buffalo, even though he didn't take him. He is an offensive coordinator who will take what Marcus Mariota does very, very well at Oregon, put it in his offense, and do it. And a lot of what Marcus Mariota's success will be will depend on how adaptable the offensive coordinator is.
Well, I got to be honest with you, Bucky. Speaking on behalf of Jets fans everywhere, the idea that Chan Gailey, it's going to work because Chan Gailey knew what to do with Tyler Thigpen doesn't really give a boost of confidence that the corner is going to be turned here right now. But, you know, and I mean, Geno, they've already, the previous administration's already done the work by giving him all that time. Why not one more shot?
Well, that's what makes sense. And that's
one more shot. Go get an edge rusher at 6 if he's out there.
Edge rusher, maybe a pass receiver. Maybe Amari Cooper is there. Maybe you build up all the pieces.
You would, if the Jets would pull a trigger on another receiver, even though they've spent the money on Decker and they went and got Marshall, go ahead and just get another one?
Well, you have to have 3. Like, good teams are playing with 3 wide receivers. Look at what Denver was able to do.
Curly still there.
Hey, Curly's not Amari Cooper.
No, I know that.
So if you have an opportunity, if we're really saying let's build it up for Geno or the next quarterback that's eventually going to happen, Brandon Marshall's an older guy, Pro Bowl player. Dexter's a Pro Bowl player. You get Amari Cooper, a young guy that can grow and be your #1 receiver. You like that offense. And Geno Smith, this is when he should turn the corner if he's ever going to turn the corner. Going into his 3rd year, he's had plenty of starts. He's now ready to play the pro game in the right manner. I think if I'm Todd Bowles, I'm looking to get a position player as opposed to pull the plug and start all over with a young quarterback.
So you think Leonard Williams is #2 overall in this draft to Tennessee?
I think Leonard Williams, if Tennessee keeps the pick, I think Leonard Williams is the guy.
Okay.
Dick LeBeau comes over, good fit.
And you don't think Phillip Rivers to Tennessee from Mariota, there's much smoke in that fire?
I think it could. I mean, I think it could happen. It depends on how much does San Diego like Marcus Mariota. Ken Wisenhunt will take Phillip Rivers today. Proximity, familiarity, knowing him, getting a veteran there, he really will energize that locker room because they will then believe, oh, we have a chance to win games because now we have a quarterback that's on the verge or right on the cusp of being an elite quarterback.
Let's take a 60-second break. We'll be back with Bucky Brooks. I'll play for you the sound that Steve Sarkisian, the soundbite, I guess, when I asked him about Mariota's pro readiness. And I touched a nerve. I touched a nerve in a college coach about the whole pro readiness of college quarterbacks coming into the next level like Mariota. That's back with Bucky Brooks and you in just 1 minute's time here on The Rich Eisen Show. Welcome back to The Rich Eisen Show. Save time and money by downloading TrueCar's mobile app. Configure the new car you want, then see what others paid for it and lock in guaranteed savings from TrueCar certified dealers in your area. And most users save over $3,000 less than MSRP. Save time, save money, and never overpay. Download the TrueCar app today. Bucky Brooks, answer the poll question that Chris Brockman asks, and then we'll update it.
Bucky, how would you rather end a game? Overtime goal in hockey, game-winning 3, or a walk-off home run?
Walk-off home run.
Attaboy.
Walk-off home run.
I want to flip the bat.
Attaboy.
Ad flip.
I want to flip the bat.
54% agree with you, Bucky.
There you go.
Walk-off home run.
I got it. What was the biggest walk-off moment you were ever part of? Whether it was in North Carolina, Buffalo, wherever, Jacksonville, Green Bay, Kansas City, Oakland.
Man, you know,
you ever privy to one of them, even if you were on the losing end or something like that?
Not privy to one like in dramatic fashion like that, but I think the best memories would be watching Brett Favre orchestrate a 2-minute drill to win a game.
Was he the best 2-minute drill quarterback?
He was just the most dynamic. I was in Green Bay at the chance when he was winning 3 straight MVPs, and I'd never been around someone who kind of had that it factor that if you gave Brett Favre the ball back, we always felt like we had an opportunity to win. And so it's just a special feeling when you have a player like that. It makes you stand up on the sidelines whenever he has the offense going because you always think something good is going to happen.
Brady's the best one I've ever seen. I mean, just, you know, and obviously he's got the track record to prove it.
Now, I had my
But-
heart broken by Brady. In Super Bowl 38, I was working with the Carolina Panthers. That Super Bowl, he leads the 2-minute drill down.
That was our first Super Bowl at the NFL Network, and it was the first Super Bowl I'd ever been on the field for. And we were standing in the end zone, and every time Brady let the ball go, because they were moving away from us, and every time he let the ball go, it looked like it was going right into the hands of the Carolina Panthers. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, Brady's going to throw an interception. And every time last second, a Patriot receiver would run right in front and catch the ball. It took me a couple of times to realize Brady knew exactly what he was doing, exactly the spot that he was throwing to, trusting his receivers. And, Vinatieri did his thing.
That's what they always talk about with quarterbacks. You hear them talk about throwing a guy open or throwing with anticipation.
Sure.
It's that trust factor. Brady has that. Those elite guys do that. They're unafraid of letting it go before the receiver's even out of his break.
And he did that in the biggest possible moment and the Super Bowl. Steve Sarkisian was on the program earlier today, and I talked about whether Mariota, from his perspective, was pro-ready and what he thought about being a pro-ready quarterback. And I walked right into it, Bucky. Here's I guess, the best of it. He basically said, do you have a minute? And then went on. Law, how long was it? 4 or 5 minutes, essentially?
Oh, yeah. No, I'm like talking to Rich and I'm like, we have to go to commercial break. And he's going off. It was great, though. It was really good.
And so we boiled it down to about 45 seconds. Here was Sarkisian earlier on the program.
I watch the New England Patriots. I watch the Green Bay Packers, and I see these guys in the shotgun 75% of the time. I see their quarterbacks back there in the gun, changing protections, doing their thing, shotgun running game, all the stuff they do. How many times did Tom Brady put his hands under, I don't even know who the center is at New England, and drop back to pass? And then I turn on the NFL Combine, which I love, but they put these kids under center for 3 hours straight. And is that why we're drafting them? And we're complaining about, are we developing college quarterbacks? Are we developing NFL quarterbacks to be prepared to play in the NFL? Well, developing for what?
What do you think, Bucky?
Well, I think that's a college coach who's making some very valid points. I think you have to understand, Steve Sarkisian and every college coach, they're always in recruiting mode. And so if you have a label of not developing pro quarterbacks, then that high school hot shot that's coming out, he may not want to go to your school. But I also think there's some validity to what Sarkisian is saying.
Well, he's not running the offenses that
No.
people are accusing quarterbacks of being unpro ready for. He was sort of standing up for his colleagues in a way right there, it sounded like to me.
He is, because a lot of the things that they're doing on the collegiate level, they're subtly doing in the pro game. Like a lot of the shotgun, a lot of what they call RPO, run pass option plays and things where they're giving the quarterback the ability to either hand the ball off to the running back or make a throw based on what the defense does. So there's some truth to that. And there's also this perception that these old school offensive coordinators are unwilling to change and adapt to what the college system is producing.
Sure.
And so the best guys who are having success with those young quarterbacks are adaptable. They're willing to take the quarterback where he is, build on what he was able to do in college, and then eventually in year 2, year 3, kind of transition him to what you would ask a normal NFL quarterback to do.
Before I let you go, Todd Gurley is becoming the apple of a lot of people's eye. He was before. And now that his last medical check came out okay with his knee, I'm hearing a lot he's the best player available, that if there was no knee, he'd be top 5. And the question is when it all comes down to it, do you think Todd Gurley's going to be a top 10 player?
I think he could. I think he could be. I think if he was clean, he absolutely would be a top 10 pick. He is one of those special running backs. Everyone talks about Adrian Peterson, but in the same class of Adrian Peterson was Marshawn Lynch. I think that's the best pro comparison to Todd Gurley. He runs just like Marshawn Lynch in terms of the physicality, the toughness, but also has the ability to make plays in the passing game. Todd Gurley is the kind of guy that you hit your wagon to, and that he can really carry an offense and really make the game a lot easier for the quarterback. As much as we talk about the devaluation of the running back, they're not diminished in importance. You have to have a running back to really make it happen.
So if you're in a draft room and you're picking 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, and he's sitting there, do you go? Do you do it?
Depending on what your roster looks like, I think you can go, because I think he is going to be a guy that's going to be a 1,200 to 1,300 yard per season rusher.
Okay.
And so those guys give you an opportunity to have a chance, because we have this fascination with quarterbacks and think that quarterbacks have to do it all by themselves. The support of a strong running game makes everybody better. Just look at Dallas and what DeMarco Murray was able to do for the Cowboys. He helped their defense. He helped Tony Romo.
The
He
whole
made
thing.
everything better. Talented running back can do that for you.
Who's your favorite player?
Amari Cooper is one of my favorites. The guy that I think some people are overlooking, Vic Beasley, to me, is the most explosive pass rusher. I think, hands down, he's the guy that can give you 10 sacks a year. I'm going with him over all the other pass rushers in the draft.
Is that who Atlanta, Dimitrov, and everybody's like hoping right now?
Well, I mean, I think
Quinn?
a lot of people are hoping because I think you
he's there?
need to have a guy that has the tools in the toolbox. He has all of that: snap count anticipation, first step quickness, and then he has a variety of moves that he can
I'd put
throw
him
on.
in green right now if I could, 6 overall. I'd put him in green right now and say, go hunt 12. Go hunt that number 12. you have to, right? I mean,
It's about changing how the quarterback has to play. He's one of those guys that can do it. I just love what Todd Bowles is going to do with New York. Bringing Revis and Cromartie back, if they can find that pass rusher, you're talking about a defense that can really bully people
What's
around.
Rex thinking, huh? He's out the door. They bring.
Oh, I mean, he has
Revis
to be
and Cromartie
upset,
back.
but he fell into a very nice situation
Oh,
in
no,
Buffalo.
sure. No, I know
can't
that.
wait to see those battles in the AFC.
Well, that's on Thursday Night Football on NFL Network.
How about that?
Yeah, good to see you. Good to see you, Bucky
thanks for
Brooks.
having me on.
Anytime. Bucky Brooks.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern. On Audience.